My name is Aida Lugo McAllister, author of Ida's Kitchen a lo Boricua, a bilingual Puerto Rican cookbook. I am going to demonstrate how to prepare steamed pasteles, a recipe from my cookbook. Our pasteles are similar to the Mexican tamales and hallacas in Venezuela. Pasteles are made from a dough that consists of yautías, taro root, green bananas, and green plantains, that is then stuffed with a pork filling and wrapped in plantain leaves. Traditionally, you boil the pasteles in salted water to cook them. However, I have been steaming the pasteles for 15 years. When you steam the pasteles, you eliminate the water draining process. The pasteles retain their form because you avoid water entering into the pasteles, and the dough absorbs the flavor of the plantain leaves. Our pasteles are mainly consumed during the Christmas holidays in Puerto Rico. Let's start preparing the pork filling for the pasteles. I purchased the pork boneless stew meat that is cut and packaged into cubes. The pork stew meat comes from the Boston butt roast, the shoulder, and the picnic roast, the arm of the pig. It is the same cuts of meat purchased whole to prepare the pork filling for our pasteles. This is 2 pounds of pork boneless stew meat that has been rinsed, trimmed of excess fat, and cut into 1/2 inch cubes. We are ready to cook the pork meat. Pour 1/2 cup of water into the saucepan and add the pork meat. Cover saucepan with lid and cook for 15 to 20 minutes over medium-low heat, stirring occasionally. Let's stir the pork meat after several minutes of cooking. Cover saucepan with lid and continue cooking. While the pork meat is cooking, let's prepare the annatto oil, aceite con achiote, which will be used to add color to the pork filling and dough. We are ready to start preparing the annatto oil. Let's pour 2 cups of extra virgin olive oil into saucepan and 3/4 cup of annatto seeds. Stir well. Heat oil and annatto seed over low heat for approximately 2 to 3 minutes. The oil and annatto seeds have been heating for 2 to 3 minutes. As you can see, the annatto seeds have released a bright red-orange color into the oil. The annatto oil is done. The final step is to carefully strain the annatto oil through a fine mesh sieve into a bowl. discard the used annatto seeds. Here you have a beautiful red-orange color oil referred to as annatto oil, aceite con achiote. We are finished preparing the annatto oil. However, there is another main ingredient for this recipe, which is sofrito. A link will be posted on the description section of this YouTube video for sofrito. But if you are not interested in making a large batch of sofrito, here is a recipe on how to prepare sofrito for a single meal. These are the chopped ingredients to make sofrito for a single meal. 1 garlic clove, 1 tablespoon of onion, 2 tablespoons of green pepper, 2 small or medium-sized culantro leaves, or you can substitute with 3 sprigs of cilantro. 1 tablespoon of ají dulce, sweet pepper, or you can substitute with cubanelle pepper. The pork meat has been cooking now for 20 minutes. Let's add the remaining ingredients. 4 ounces of diced lean ham. 1½ teaspoons of light salt or to taste. 1/3 cup of annatto oil. 3 minced garlic cloves. 2 tablespoons of tomato sauce. 3 tablespoons of sofrito made with culantro. 4 sprigs of fresh chopped cilantro. 3/4 cup of seedless raisins. This is optional. The raisins provide a touch of sweetness to the pasteles. 20 pimiento stuffed green olives cut in halves. 2 tablespoons of capers. 1 can 15 ounces garbanzo beans, chickpeas with liquid. Stir all the ingredients until well blended. And bring the liquid to a boil. The liquid is boiling, so let's reduce the heat to a simmer. Stir the pork meat. Cover saucepan with lid and simmer for 40 to 50 minutes or until the pork is thoroughly cooked and most of the liquid is absorbed. After 40 minutes of cooking, most of the liquid is absorbed and the pork meat is coated with the tomato oil base sauce. If the pork meat still has plenty of liquid, remove lid from the saucepan and cook over medium heat to thicken the sauce. The pork filling is done. We can now cut and peel the viandas to prepare the dough for the pasteles. The viandas consist of 10 green bananas, 2 green plantains, and 2 pounds of yautías. This is a common, ordinary banana, but very, very green. Cut both ends of the green banana with a knife. Make 3 separate slits lengthwise from top to bottom, barely touching the flesh. Peel the green banana with your hands. This is a green plantain, a member of the banana family. It is much longer, thicker, and starchier than the familiar banana. It has a yellow flesh. It is very firm. This particular green plantain measures 11 inches long. With a knife, cut both ends of the green plantain. Make several slits lengthwise from top to bottom, barely touching the flesh. Peel the green plantain using your hands. Remove any remnants of the skin with a knife. This is a yautia known as taro root. It usually measures 8 to 12 inches long. The yautia has a brown and shaggy skin. The flesh can vary in color from white, yellow, or pink. With a knife, cut both ends of the yautia. Peel the yautia with a knife or potato peeler. We just finished cutting, peeling, and rinsing the viandas. The next step is to grate the viandas. I use a food processor to grate the viandas. Many individuals use a machine grater for the pasteles that you can purchase online, or you can use a box grater. If you use a box grater, grate the viandas on the side of the superfine blade. I already placed the grating blade and lid on the food processor. So let's start grating the viandas. First, I'm going to add the yautía into the opening of the lid and slightly apply pressure with the food pusher to grate the yautía. As the yautía is being grated, add more yautía until the food processor bowl is filled. Continue this process until all the viandas have been grated in several batches. We just finished grating the last batch of viandas. We can now add the last batch of the grated vianda into this bowl. The next step is to season and add color to the dough. Let's stir the dough until well blended. Add 2 tablespoons of light salt or to taste and 1 2/3 cups of annatto oil. Stir the dough until the color of the dough is uniform, a bright orange color. We can gradually pour the first cup of warm milk. Stir to blend the milk into the dough. The milk will give the dough a creamier texture. Let's pour the other cup of warm milk. Stir until well blended. We just finished preparing the dough. We just prepared the pork filling and dough. Now we need to cut the plantain leaves to wrap the pasteles. The plantain leaves are cut into different sizes depending on how small or large you prefer the pasteles, so there are no exact measurements. I either cut the plantain leaves 9 by 12 or 12 by 12 inches. You can purchase the plantain leaves at the Latin market. This is the Goya brand, but you purchase the brand of your preference. Let's cut to size the plantain leaves into 24 12 by 12 inch pieces. The lines on the leaves are called ribs. Make sure that the ribs are vertical when cutting to size the plantain leaves. With my ruler, I am going to measure 12 inches high. Since this measures 12 inches, the height does not need to be cut across the leaf. Let's now measure 12 inches wide. We need to cut the width using a kitchen scissor. We just finished cutting to size our first plantain leaf, 12 by 12 inches. For your information, you can use the first leaf as a pattern to continue cutting the remaining leaves with identical measurements. After all the leaves have been cut to size, clean each leaf with a wet kitchen dishcloth on each side. Once the leaves have been cleaned, we will be ready to form the pasteles. We traditionally spread the annatto oil on the plantain leaves prior to forming the pasteles. We also wrap them with the plantain leaves and parchment paper, and then we tie them with kitchen string to secure the pasteles. Since I steam my pasteles, there is no need to spread the annatto oil on the plantain leaves, wrap them in parchment paper, and tie them with kitchen string. You definitely save lots and lots of preparation time. To form the pastel, place 3 heaping tablespoons of dough on top of plantain leaf. Spread dough evenly with a spoon. Place 3 tablespoons of pork filling in the center of dough. Lift the edge of leaf to cover pork filling completely with dough and continue to fold into a pastel. Turn over and gently fold each end towards the center. Place the pastel folded side down on a cookie sheet. Repeat this process for the remaining pork filling and dough. These are frozen pasteles. Once I fill the baking pans or cookie sheets with freshly made pasteles, I place them in the freezer overnight. The next day, they are packaged in gallon bags and stored in the freezer for future use. Before we start steaming the pasteles, I have here different steamers that I can use depending on how many pasteles I want to steam. These two steamers both contain 2 steamer baskets. This steamer will hold approximately 12 pasteles. This larger one will hold at least 20. For this demonstration, I will be using a small steamer. Let's get ready to start steaming the pasteles. Pour sufficient water into steamer, making sure the water is below the steamer basket so that the pasteles are not sitting in water. Insert steamer basket and place the number of pasteles the steamer basket will hold. Cover steamer with lid. Since the pasteles were freshly made, it will take approximately 50 minutes to steam over medium heat. If the pasteles are frozen, they need to steam for an additional 15 minutes. After 50 minutes of steaming, remove lid and wait until the steam has evaporated before carefully removing the pasteles from the steamer basket. Place a pastel on a plate and unwrap. The tropical aroma from the steamed pastel is extremely appetizing and it looks delicious. Let's taste the pastel. The dough is creamy and the pork filling is perfectly seasoned. The pastel is firm without watery edges, and the plantain leaf has plenty of oil on them. Delicious. The pasteles are served with roasted pork shoulder and rice with pigeon peas. Delicious. I hope you have enjoyed watching my YouTube video on how to prepare steamed pasteles. Thank you for watching my YouTube cooking video. Please share, like, and subscribe to my YouTube channel. If you would like a copy of my cookbook, visit my website, idaskitchenboricua.com, and click on the cookbook tab. My cookbook is a bilingual Puerto Rican cookbook, and it contains 42 authentic Puerto Rican recipes that I learned how to cook while living in Puerto Rico. This side is the English version. If you flip the book over, the other side is the Spanish version. Again, thank you for watching my YouTube cooking video.